This episode is sponsored by Hartwig Blacksmithing.
Hand-forged quality. All of my knives are handmade from premium quality high-carbon steel. Each piece is handmade from start to finish to ensure optimal quality and performance.
Chef knives, hunting knives, everyday carry knives, everything in between. Custom orders available upon request. Go check him out.
HartwigBlacksmithing.com.
You can find him on Instagram at Hartwig Blacksmithing.
And then you end it by saying, cut with a knife.
This is episode 15. We are nearing the end of season 2.
You're right.
Ready to...
Season 3 is going to be so good.
Season 3 is going to be like no other.
I'm on pins and needles.
Not better than season 2, because season 2 is great.
Season 2 is the best. Finish season 2.
Right.
Don't wait for season 3.
Just something different.
Do it.
So if you've been on the fence about listening to this, then get off. Get off the fence. You look weird.
Yeah.
Okay? Just start walking.
Sitter.
Yeah.
You look weird over there.
Yeah.
Casting your long shadow.
So
watching the pony up. Time to pony up.
Because the grass is always greener on the other side of that fence, so come on over.
But you'll never know.
Take a little niblet. Join the ponies.
Unless you get off the fence.
Ride with the Brumbies.
And ride with the Broncos.
I think it's Brumbies.
Let's
Brumbies.
ride.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we say.
We always say that.
Every episode. Let's ride. Right before we start, we put our
Let's
hands
ride. And off to the races we go.
And let's begin.
So have you guys ever
3, 2, 1. We're live.
So have you guys ever been eating chips and you get crumbs on your pants legs and you're wiping them off and you're all greasy?
Yes.
Okay.
But has one ever fallen onto your shoulder?
Sometimes, yeah.
A little chip on the shoulder is kind of what I'm going with this episode.
Here's the scenario.
How are you eating?
You're kind of leaning off to the side. You're almost falling asleep, and a little chip falls on your shoulder, and it gets you thinking.
Here's what happened. If you're dealing with the powdery chips, right, that leave your fingers
Doritos,
all
Cheetos.
sticky and gross.
Are Cheetos a chip?
What you do...
Go on, sorry.
What you do is you take the bag and you do the old kind of,
and they
you
start
eat from the and they start
the bag hole's bigger than your mouth,
exactly.
so they're kind of getting out on the edges.
Yep. And if you're not skilled, or if you get close to the bottom of the bag, some crumbs and chips will fall out,
and they can land on your shoulder.
And some will fall on your shoulder.
But I've realized people don't. You don't say yourself, "I've got a chip on my shoulder." Someone else points it out and say, "You've got a chip on your shoulder," and that's the idiom I would like to address today.
And usually it's like it's in reference to someone, but some people are talking about him.
They wouldn't say it to your face.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know unless there's dip involved.
Oh, you got a real chip on your shoulder, don't you?
He's got a real chip on his shoulder.
But usually he's got a real chip.
Exactly.
He's got a real chip on his shoulder.
You're talking about someone else.
Isn't it crazy that when Paul McCartney wrote "Hey Jude," the original line was, "Don't carry the chip upon your shoulder."
That's interesting. Yeah. So this idiom was brought up to me by one of our many listeners, but he's one
there's
of so many. Taylor Lucky, I would just like to give a shout out to you for
Taylor
just taking the time to reach out to us and say, "Hey,
now why
don't you do this?"
Let me tell you a story about this guy.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So one night, we're watching the game.
Was it
it's a
moonless,
Thursday night.
Yeah,
it's a Thursday night.
Blue.
Got some brews with the boys. Passing the chips and the dip.
Chips.
And a chip falls on the ground, and I say, "Don't worry, Taylor, I'll get it."
You both bent and your eyes locked.
That's right. That's right.
What transpired?
I don't think I've ever met Taylor.
Okay.
So.
No, he's a great.
Oh, were you trying
guy.
to make a connection to chips?
I don't know, something.
Yeah. Or were you making a connection to Lucky?
I thought you were going to do
connection to how I knew Taylor Lucky.
Right. Wow, that was really lucky of him. You threw in Chip and Taylor, and neither one of your comments managed to connect.
Yeah, because the chip fell on the floor, kind of like the idiom in the story you were telling. Kind of just
let the chips fall where they may. Maybe my shoulder.
Oh,
that's good.
I like it.
Chippy.
Is that that window's open?
I know it's still very hot in here.
Listener, we are in
I'd love another
the dead middle of summer right now.
Chip on your shoulder.
But
Explain it, though.
I've got two that I want to just get out at once since we're talking
You
about...
want to get it off your chest.
I want to get it off my chest,
On
but
your shoulder.
chip off the old block. So there's the chip on the shoulder, then there's the chip off the old block. So I want to just talk about chips for a little bit and kind of get our bearings on what a chip is, what we're going for, what we think they mean.
Did you bring any chips for us?
That sounds amazing.
We should have been sponsored by a
Pringles.
Pringles.
Oh,
Pringles.
Man, that would have been great.
Maybe next time if we all chip in, we could each. No.
You know, and that's what I think about this podcast. If we keep chipping away, if we keep doing the work, you know,
the hard
someday
work. The hard work.
We'll see it pay off. I really believe that.
No,
I tell you guys that all the time.
Yep.
I say, guys, just come to one
He's
more
like,
session.
I'll bring another beer.
Okay, I'll bring
Just
more
show
beer.
up.
I'll pay you. I'm in debt right now because I've been paying them, but you know, I just say it'll be worth it one day.
And this studio space isn't cheap.
No, it's not.
Trev. So keep that in mind.
Anyways, so
back to
thanks
Chip.
for being here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Explain, since you're kind of doing a double-edged sword or a double-edged chip, three-edged
twofer,
chip,
as they call it somewhere.
Explain to me the meaning.
Okay.
Your interpretation of the meaning of. Let's start with chip on your shoulder.
Chip on the shoulder is he's got kind of a grudge, kind of something he's carrying around that he can't. He, for some reason, he's not able to flick that
Tom
chip
is flicking his shoulder right
off.
now.
Right.
He's like, man, that chip is annoying, but I'm gonna carry it around. And some they're kind of like braggy about it.
Almost like the general with their little things on their shoulders.
Laurels?
Ooh, little chips.
Laurels?
No, laurels. I thought
laurels
were
on your chest.
Okay.
Not in your crotch region.
No, loins.
Laurels.
I guess.
That was a sorry. Yeah, loins.
No, laurels over your head.
Lorg
would
wore
wear
loincloths.
Right.
Lorg does not know what laurels are. It's more prestigious. Exactly. But laurels, no, they're probably not on your chest.
They've got a little bit of a grudge.
But a little burden. Like it's not a. I don't know if it's a huge deal.
Right.
It's
like
like
just
a little
a chip, like a sandwich on your shoulder,
right?
Or like a sub.
Well, and that's
sandwich.
the other thing,
like a meatball sandwich.
You guys got a T-bone steak on his shoulder. Bobby over there's just got a chip on his.
But it's just a small piece. He's not carrying the whole weight.
Right.
Because, like, if you chip off the old block, it's not the whole thing.
Right,
it's
but
just
that means
a little.
something totally different.
It does, but we're still getting the chip part of it.
Chip.
Okay.
All right.
Wait, so you're saying that the chip on the shoulder, let's stick with that one.
Right.
That's a grudge?
That's a grudge.
Yeah, or an issue.
The way that he carries himself is sort of like...
I think it's arrogance.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could see a little
proud,
arrogance.
boastful.
I think it's more the guy was kind of made fun of his whole life,
shoulder,
and teased, and just things didn't work out. So things like something didn't go right. I picture the guy that's just always been kind of picked on.
He's out to prove something.
And he's
right?
kind of he thinks he's tough, but it's like, man,
his chest is always puffed out.
He does have a puffy chest.
The chip?
He's a chest puffer.
Yep. It's just something like they've got something to prove. Like they're making fun of the chip. He's like, well, then I'll do this, and he stands.
That's good.
You know.
I mean, nothing against people with a good posture.
Good posture is
this
best.
This is over
emphasis
on
the
the
chairs
posture.
that we have in here does not really.
They're not conducive.
No,
that was great.
That was
a trifecta.
No, he didn't.
No, I didn't. I wanted to.
He wanted to, but he didn't know how to pronounce it.
He said conduit.
Conduit. It's like
conduct. It doesn't conduct well.
It's not confluence.
Not like a Hartwig blade.
Not like a Hartwig.
Well done.
Cuts like a Hartwig blade.
Cuts like a Hartwig.
So
anyways,
theories. Delve time.
Okay.
Let's get deep here.
Well,
is there any real life? Like when's the last
Name
time?
a person you know that is listening to this podcast that you'd be like.
Yeah, you don't have to say names.
Had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Or don't name a name, but
maybe
name
Taylor Lucky
in a roundabout way.
Maybe there's a reason that he brought it up.
Yeah, he's curious why everyone's saying, "Hey, get that chip off your shoulder." And he's like, "Guys, what are they? Is that a
change
compliment?"
shirts every day.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm just lucky.
And what kind of chips?
I don't think lucky people have chips on their shoulders. The chips just land,
fall where they may,
fall in the right places.
Yeah,
but we still need to, what the chip? Why the chip? There's chocolate chips.
Mm-hmm.
There's
I'm not much of a gambler.
Potato chips, wood chips. They're always small.
Right.
Yep.
Chip and Dale, little chipmunks.
They are very small.
Like something.
One's
something
the devil,
small.
one's
like
the
that
angel.
one that we accidentally run over.
I always
Chip,
felt
was
like
Chip
Dale was always trying to do things
Chip was
right.
on, if Chip's the evil one, that would make sense. But that would be a new idiom, which I think this is going back.
I've got more of a Dale on my shoulder.
Yeah. Over Dale.
Glenn.
Is it Glenn? I never knew Glenn very well.
No, just Dale.
This is an idiom that I think that you have to think more about. Sometimes there are idioms that kind of just come, are on the tip of your tongue, if you will, and they just
Roll
come out
like rainwater.
You sure hit the nail on the head with that one,
Right,
or you're like, yeah,
that guy
like
you're bucket.
You know what you're saying when you say this.
That one doesn't.
You're specifically like you have to think like, how am I describing this guy?
Right.
And it's not just a word in conversation where it just slips out like you said. Like
kill two birds with one stone. It's like I understand immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that all the time.
Obviously.
Right.
It's easy.
I actually usually kill two birds with a Hartwig blade.
Ooh.
Right. One
Probably
Hartwig
three.
Blade. 3 birds, yeah.
Better be a Hartwig.
I better.
Yeah.
I kill a lot of birds. I think there's a lot going on here. We have to figure out what kind of chip we're talking about.
Well, and today the chips are going in the shoulder electronically. So there's that. I
like
aspect.
where your head's at, but I'm gonna rule that one out immediately.
My head's right above the shoulder.
Hard.
Do you like where that? Do you like where
where
it's at, Dan? Because what does that mean? Because my head's always been.
I like where your head is at.
Where it's always gonna be
it's same spot. We gotta think of the era of where. Nice with a Hartwig blade, or just
not any blade.
Let me take a stab at it.
If you want to actually hit it, use a Hartwig blade. If you're just stabbing at it with a regular old Swiss Army knife, like you don't have a chance.
My God.
I mean, not to.
Right.
Dang it.
I mean, they are neutral.
Now they're not gonna help us. That's good.
So yeah, I don't know why that would come up. Like where they're getting the chip from. I understand someone having something on their shoulder. Like bothersome. Like they're carrying something, like a weight.
Sure.
But I don't know where the chip came, because it's not a heavy thing that I'm thinking. Anything that it's in my mind is small.
Right.
So it's like if he's like, oh, he's got a boulder on his shoulder,
sure.
I'd be like,
boulder on his shoulder.
It sounds better
shoulder
too.
Boulder.
Yeah. So yeah, chips. We need to get to chips. I'm thinking of a woodcutter with chips, but you're not gonna say, oh, he's angry because he's got wood chips on his shoulder.
Guy's just going to town on the wood pile,
right?
And like wood shavings are flying up.
He's like jumping in the chip.
His shoulder.
Yeah. Right. So that's why the chip thing is so fascinating to me.
Chip on his shoulder.
You know what else is fascinating? How wood chips became a
how we're spinning around in space.
Nuclear reactors. Those are wow. Yeah, now that we say that, wood chips are not that interesting.
No, but
you know what's fascinating is a tree, when you hit it with a blade, let's say a Hartwig blade or any number of blades, the chips.
Well, no, how the application of them, because they used to just be, I don't know, in mounds, but then there was like, let's throw them in parks. Let's maybe we shouldn't have this concrete surface here for kids to fall onto. Maybe we should. But what's
interesting is we don't really have chips anymore, because it's now a sawdust. It gets it so fine. The old axes, they were getting actual chips,
wood chips,
out of the tree, and so it's more refined. It's he's got some sawdust on it. If we were going with the wood terminology,
okay,
but
I get that.
Some flecks of dust on his shoulder.
So where are we? What are we thinking, like era wise? Because I can't.
We're always in the 1850s. I mean, there's no way around that.
Frontier man.
That's not. You can't.
All of the idioms have come from the 1800s.
There's like 3 that aren't. And we've already covered them. I don't like this one because, again, I don't have
not a lot to work with.
Not a lot to work with. So you have to do a couple things. You have to pick your chip. Are we going food? Are we pokering? Are we doing wood?
Chocolate.
Are we chocolate chipping or microchip from some robot? I'm eliminating microchip immediately, as I said before. Yep. Chocolate chips out.
Maybe there's a clairvoyant gentleman in the 1800s.
Maybe it's not.
Okay.
And I'm actually gonna go down to a physical So I have a shoulder injury.
There we go.
And
I have a shoulder too.
It's noticeable. Like one of my shoulders drops about
what happened?
2 inches. One of those old football stories. You know, I don't want to bring it up, but
didn't I ask about injuries in the last episode, and everybody looked at me weird, and now it's coming up again. Wow!
I separated my shoulder. It separated.
You did it on your own?
No, somebody separated it.
Throwing the cards on the ground.
No, my shoulder was separated. It hurt really bad. And now I have like a weird, like, it's almost like a chip has been taken out of my shoulder. You can see a bump right here. Do you see that?
That's why sometimes I see you staring off into just the distance.
So remembering.
Yeah. Because there's a separation between him and his shoulder.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like we haven't connected in years.
They haven't bonded again.
Mm-hmm. Dang.
But I'm just picturing a guy with like a physical like wound.
A hatchet.
Yes.
Because that would get a chip out.
Like that. It's
bone chip. There we go. Chip bone.
Oh, chip bone. Oh yeah.
The old chip bone.
So he's got a bone chip on his shoulder.
He's got a bone chipped out.
Chipped out. Okay.
I don't know.
That's
I'm picturing like
chilling.
an actual wound that. It's not so. It's just noticeable.
Okay. And then you're so proud about it. You're walking around like, he's not even gonna get stitches and his bones
just
sticking
pouring
out.
Hey, he's got a chip.
Because that's the hard
on
part.
His old shoulder.
Once we find out what the chip is, why do we say it as it's a negative thing?
Well, a wound
chip on his
would
shoulder
be a negative thing. A chip out of your flesh.
That's negative.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's not good, but it's more of like that guy is a jerk. Right. It's not like, oh, he's hurt.
So
like
the people with the chips on their shoulders are typically have a jerkish.
I
think it's the hubris and the arrogance.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like
got a chip on his shoulder.
Maybe like Biff in Back to the Future.
Sure,
a little bit.
I like that.
He's got some chips.
You
kind of look deeper with Biff. You do some psychoanalysis and you realize he was just neglect. Where were the parents?
Right?
Are you certified to do that?
Me? To psychoanalyze?
Yeah.
A movie
I was a high school counselor. So
but that's true.
Yeah.
But Biff, I'd love to see a spin-off series on Biff's upbringing.
So chips can come from the
we can do that.
Chips can come from the parents. So chip off the old block. The parents are giving the chip.
Is this a 2-for-1? Because
children.
I feel like
they're passing the chip.
They're passing
the chip
Here's
ceremony.
The thing.
And
it's
they
like
put it on his shoulder.
The torch,
like being knighted.
Yeah.
But like, son, you too will carry this chip.
Yeah.
And they place it on his shoulder.
Chip off the old block. That's just self-explanatory.
It's like spitting image, which is totally self-explanatory.
Yeah, but I still don't get the reference of why, because a chip seems like a small part, and when they say that, it means like you're exactly
like your dad.
This. It should be you're a
carved replica of your father.
Why just a little
statue?
Chip? Like chip is
Travis,
still just intriguing.
enlighten us, because it's so self-explanatory. I'd like you to just...
Back in the days of quarries, okay?
Yeah.
You've been wanting to say quarry for a while.
They'd make model statues out of marble.
Right.
And then like a nose would break off as they're carving it, and they're like, oh, a little chip
off the old block.
Fell off, and they put it back up. And the son puts it back up because he picked up
like this, Dad.
Good son. My mom's favorite part.
Goonies.
Yeah, nice. Good. But back to you, Travis.
No, because chip off the old block.
Mm-hmm.
He's exactly like his father.
Right. We know that's what it means.
Right.
Oh.
Why the chip?
But I think the chips are different in that. Those two.
It's the same substance basically. He's made of limestone. There's a chip of it. The kid's made of limes. Like
it birthed him.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
But the chip on the shoulder though, that's different.
Well, what if the chip off the old block fell on the shoulder?
Fell on the shoulder? Oh.
Then we're
back to the Paul McCartney song. Travis, what do you got there, big fella, on the old chip on the shoulder? I said a wound.
Say it in a sentence.
You giggled.
Say it in a sentence for me.
Man, that guy's
Travis hasn't gotten an idiom guess right in a while. I know you got the last two.
Oh, okay. The cuff one, yeah.
He did. He's got quite.
Listen to episode 12.
Please go back and listen.
Off the cuff.
He's got I feel like you do have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder.
Oh, very okay.
I mean, I don't have to say what it is, but that's how
on
it would
your
be
shoulder.
used. This Travis guy's got a little chip on his shoulder.
Chip on his shoulder. Okay, there it is. See, and you were whispering to some unknown entity. Okay,
or to all of our listeners. Hey, everybody! Travis has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Chip on his shoulder.
Listen to the way he carries himself.
Okay, I think I'll go literal.
Okay.
I don't know what substance the chip is, but we talked about posture, and I'm thinking of someone standing up straight, and if they were trying to balance, and forgive me if somebody said this before, if they were trying to balance something, they would be very, shoulders back. They would be head, chin up to the sky and walking, they have something to prove.
They're balancing a glass.
I picture
something,
Victorian age, the girls wearing the corsets, they're very proper. They have to walk around, and if something falls off their shoulder, and so when they're doing that, all the poor folk are like, oh, she's got a chip. She
That's
has
how they would practice.
A little, I'm thinking of Chip from Beauty and the Beast, obviously, a little porcelain cup.
Yeah.
They would practice walking upright, shoulders back, chin up,
and they'd have the little stick they keep
with a porcelain doll, probably a porcelain horse
named Chip,
on their shoulder.
A horse, and they were holding their horses
high. They're high horses.
They're high horses,
riding on their high horses,
and that's why everyone's like, oh, they got a chip on their shoulder because they think they're better than.
That's kind of what I'll do. A little uppity, a little,
persnickety. Perhaps.
Yeah.
A little winning.
Winning. I don't know why they would do that, but yeah.
I think we're almost at figure it out time.
But Thomas, what did you say?
I don't.
Okay, well, it's your turn. Wait, but I will say though, I don't really, because you said the Victorian daintiness and whatnot.
You're not on that.
Dainty. No, I've never heard chip on her shoulder. I know that it's interchangeable, but it's always his. And I just want to say that shame on you.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, Tom.
Okay, I'm gonna go with an actual. I'm just picturing a bar scene with a saloon with actual poker chips for some reason. I don't know why.
Now who's in the seedy underbelly of society?
I know.
Welcome.
You brought me there.
Come on in. The water's great.
Quite the journey.
Let me tell you. And
there's a spittoon in the corner. There's an old man smoking a pipe. Strider. Just enough to see a flicker of his eyes as he lights up his pipe.
Chester Copperpot's missing an eye.
So chip off on his shoulder.
Chip off the old shoulder.
Yeah, I'm picturing someone maybe he's got so many winnings. The chips, he's sitting at the table and they're stacked up above shoulder high, and they're and he's just very arrogant, always just raking in the big wins and just yucking it up and being very kind of proud and boastful and
kind of being mean.
Very mean-spirited for sure.
It's not winning with a good heart.
Something like that.
Down to me and you.
So I'm going with just, at least I'm going for that era, obviously. Western era, where horses were around
and there were saloons.
There were horses or people drinking.
We'll say it's a gold rush. Well, I'm going to go gold rush time.
1849.
Gold rush.
On the nose.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
And Travis was when?
Oh, we are doing dates.
Yeah, it's fun.
Man,
it is kind of become a fun little
when was there an arrogant little gentleman walking around with a chip on his shoulder trying to balance something?
1991.
Well, they didn't care about manners.
Chip on his shoulder. Chip. Oh, this is good.
It is. I will say
it's good.
It's going to be great when we find out what it is.
You know how you get rid of a stump?
Burn it
one chip at a time
with a Hartwig blade.
Yeah. Okay, should be after you guys say your thing. Should I look it up, or should we do chip off the block real quick?
I don't think we can handle chip on the block.
Shout out to
little chip it.
I would say Aunt Mary Lou Gerber for you guys.
I would say that.
Mary Lou
Auntie
Gerber.
Lou.
She had a lovely little game here called Word Teasers, which we are not sponsored by.
No.
And they, I don't know, I guess it's like a little parlor game, if you will.
www.wordteasers.com.
Bunch of little word teasers, idioms, and
parlor game is kind of what I was picturing, like a bar.
It's not. I don't see it. It's getting warm.
I'm so hot in here.
God. Chip on your shoulder.
There it
Here
is.
we go.
Okay, read the back. Read the back.
What might you say to someone who always seems to have a chip on his shoulder? And the meaning, to be edgy or ready for a fight. Ooh. Have a bad attitude. Like that guy is boiling. Yep. He's ready to throw punches. Wow. In the early 1800s,
okay,
in America, a young boy would put a chip of wood upon his shoulder and then dare another boy, hey, knock it off.
Oh, dang.
If the second boy knocked it off, the two would fight.
Wait.
No way.
So it's like them's fighting words.
It's like a pre-fight?
And it would be like, hey, Jimmy, your shirt's looking a little stupid today. And Jimmy would pick up a chip of wood and go, really, Tommy? You think it looks stupid? He put it on his shoulder.
Jimmy and Tommy?
And Jimmy would walk up and go, yeah, I said stupid, and knock it off.
Okay. Jimmy and so instead of throwing the first punch, it's just initiating. Okay, now you want to go.
Let's go.
It's kind of nice. So
he wouldn't try to prevent him from hitting the chip?
No, it's like, I want to fight.
I want to fight. Yeah, you knock it off, and it's happening.
And then you knock it off.
So it's kind of like a 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Right. Like it's like a fair thing. He's not just going up to hit him. Like, hey, I'm giving you a chance.
Rock, paper,
if you
scissors.
want, I'll fight you now. But just come over and
think of last weekend, right? We were all hanging out, having a good time, and somebody was like, "Hey, you guys look like you're a bunch of idiots out here." And then remember when I put the chip on my shoulder.
It was a rock. It was like a little rock.
I put a little rock on my shoulder. I think it was. And I was like,
do
it. Knock it off. And then I ran him through with a Hartwig blade.
Oh, I remember that.
Gutted him.
Oh, wow. Like a fish. Yeah. Wow. That got dark real quick.
Just to be clear.
So
this is for comedy. This did not happen.
What would the modern... I mean, no one's really doing that today. Like, when did that stop? I'm curious. And what are we doing now to
what is the substitute of the chip?
I think last night when I was at the bar with the boys, some guy just approached me and was like,
"You brought your children to
hey, dang it! What's the
reppin'?
What's the cantina scene in A New Hope? I don't like you either. I've got the death penalty on 12 systems.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, be careful. You'll be dead.
That's good.
Something like that happened.
Yeah, something very similar.
And then he cuts off his arm with a Hartwig blade.
Yeah, it was a Hartwig blade. It looked like a lightsaber. It glowed.
A Hartwig saber.
But, like, what's a challenge? I see what you're saying.
Totally.
I don't know.
I think we just knock that off and, like, let's just get down. That was when they're more proper. Like, hey, give the boy a chance. Put in a little
like
chip.
A duel. We're going to have 10 full paces for you to back out.
And today they just shoot when they want.
If there's any confrontation, I kind of just run away.
Right.
Weasel, ferret away in the darkness. Mm-hmm. I look for an opportunity to hide in the shadows.
I'd probably try to shoot the stick off from a distance.
Whoa, now you've got a gun?
Right.
Jeez.
Just to graze him. Let him know I'm serious.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if there's an equivalent. That's a good one.
That's where it came from.
But wait. So, okay, Jimmy and Tommy have a disagreement. Jimmy puts the wood on his shoulder and he just stands there, and then Tommy has to
walk over and be like,
flick it off. And
hey,
Jimmy,
you mean what you said? And Tommy goes, yeah. And he walks up and flicks it off.
And Jimmy doesn't do anything.
No,
he just stands
as soon
there.
as he knocks it off his shoulder, Jimmy throws a right hook.
I've got a different meaning here too.
Jimmy really likes you.
Competing meanings.
Jimmy's
Here we go.
New to town.
So there's the first one that you said. You know, in the 19th century, people wanting a physical fight would carry, literally walk around. They just want to fight.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
And they just have a piece of drinking wood on their shoulder, and just hoping that anyone.
And then sometimes they just fall off.
They bump into. Oh, so you want to go? Really?
They're like, what? And then he just lays them out.
Yeah, they're walking through a crowded street. Just who knocked that off my shoulder?
Goes down to a farmer's market.
Okay, so here's the other one. During the 18th century, this phrase had a literal meaning. The Royal Navy Board issued an ordinance that allowed shipwrights who worked on the docks to take home leftover wood for their own use. This ordinance declared that shipwrights were to carry chips on their shoulders so that officers could inspect them. So they weren't stealing other stuff.
Like shoving in, like, munitions or food or
mashed potatoes.
Interesting. And those they probably, I bet you, that they kind of, like, they would look at the officers like, you a-holes, you think I'm going to steal from the Navy, or think you're so cool.
Yeah.
You inspecting me. It's like they're like lowly, like, look at me. I have to like
I'm
take
just trying to
chips
survive
onto my family.
So to have an angry or an unpleasant attitude caused by a belief that one has been treated unfairly in the past. So you're carrying something from an incident.
Right.
Is kind of the meaning.
I guess the question is, how many chips do you have on your shoulder?
I was just going to say,
how high can you stack
How
those?
many chips do you have on your shoulder, and are they there needlessly?
Right.
Why don't you take a moment to
listeners out there, if you have a chip on your shoulder.
If you're driving home
and you would like to just whittle those off with a nice Hartwig blade,
call 1-800-HOLD-YOUR-HORSES, and we will have a representative.
The Hartwig hotline is waiting
in the wings.
That's right.
To whittle away all of your chips and your worries and your cares.
I don't want to pass up this opportunity, though. Think about it. What
are you carrying on your shoulder?
Carrying?
Don't carry
the weight of the world?
The chip upon your shoulder.
Exactly.
Hey, since we're not going to do it, I'm just going to read Chip Off the Old Block real quick.
Let's do it.
Since we're there.
Let's just dive in.
The idea behind this idiom, that something bears a resemblance to the larger piece from which it was taken, dates back to 270 BC, obviously.
270. Yeah, I always thought 260. I always thought 260. Jeez, that's
the
weird.
analogy of a piece of stone or wood resembling the larger piece from which it was cut first appeared in Theocritus.
Socrates.
Theocritus. Remember because Theo. Yeah.
Thucydides. That's what I was going to say.
In his eulogy.
Yep.
Eulogia.
I think it was eulogy of the.
But you're usually using it in a child who closely resembles, obviously, a physical or mental characteristics of a parent.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's what I said.
Fantastic. Well, I think we've covered all the chips. We sort of let them lie as
my
they
chips
may.
are all in, and I think that's a good way to end that one.
I'm all in.
Yeah, we can't just throw out. We can't just Google every idiom that we come up with.
We chipped away at it. Yeah. We hacked, we sliced, we diced, we Hartwig bladed it, and we came down to the source. And guys, that's what we do for you here. This is the hard work.
We put it in every single
investigating.
day.
We're sitting here. It is
147
it is so hot.
Degrees. I just want you to know that we have willingly put ourselves in an oven.
Travis has taken off almost all of his clothes.
I have one article
left. A little hot in these rhinos.
And I will.
I'm just glad I don't have good eyesight. Let's just say that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But here we are, and we do it for you.
And the landlord here.
Few.
And the few. The few. The proud. The hold your horses,
the
listeners.
Yeah. Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Can you open that door, though?
Yeah. Please, God.
Will that do anything?
It's hotter out there. No, that's amazing.
Give me another beer.
Hey, you're closest to the door. Oh, it's so nice.
That's amazing.
Well, thanks.
That's great.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for episode
15. I certainly had a good time.
We had a good time, and we hope you did too. We
like
encourage
us.
You to
subscribe,
leave a review, tell
but
your
more
friends,
importantly,
tell your family.
Yes, tell
you know
your
what?
friends.
Tell anyone who you care about. Okay, care about their happiness.
Maybe even talk to us sometime.
Yeah, maybe even reach out and say hi. We'd love it.
Exactly.
Say hey, or just tell us that you've listened to it.
Let us know. Tell us that we're not frugally, dilly-dallying away our precious hours of free time in a hot
sauna.
Yeah,
man. And we'll see you next time.
We will. Episode 16
from the Hold Your Horses family
will be just
from
as
us
good.
To you.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. Let's air this one later.